Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is world government now forming. So, one of the big questions everybody wants to know is when Jesus is coming. I don't know. I don't think we have long, though. One of the other big questions is just how close is it? And that is, you watch that by watching Israel, which we're not covering today, many other things. But one of the big ones is, how close are we to a world government forming? Now, the reason I'm going to point this out today is there's some things happening that if you don't watch closely, world government can form right under our noses. And I've got some things that I need to point out today so we won't let it fall underneath our noses. All right, first of all, the biggest cause of death in an emergency, a flood, fire, something like that, is drinking contaminated water. People think, oh, well, yeah, I can just drink it out of this puddle. And you wake up dead. So everybody else is doing these Black Friday things, and so we are offering a gift offer ourselves. One is we could use the help, and you could use the water filters. Okay, so the Alexa Pure water filter, normally $275 with one filter, is now $250. With two filters, normally $375, now $335 at prophecyclub.com. Prophecyclub.com. But in my opinion, one of the most important things I can advise you to do right now is to make certain that you do not have your money in paper. That's the first thing. If you have an IRA, a 401k, or if you have your money in the stock market or even in a bank, if it's in paper, it's very risky. And I'm not giving you financial advice other than to say I suggest you call 800-200-GOLD. If you have an IRA, a 401k, if you have your money in a bank, if you have your money in some kind of paper, including stock market, I think you're in a very, very, I'll say it, you're in a very risky position. Now, it takes a little while, a few weeks, to get your money out of these paper situations. So my suggestion is you give them a call now. Okay, call them, say, here's my situation. And they may say, no, you're fine. They may say, here's what I would suggest. Or they might say, no, my friend, you are in deep trouble. You're in a very risky position. 800-200-GOLD. Give them a call. All right, next thing is, here's the thing that you might not see concerning forming world government. So I read Benjamin Fulford every Monday morning. It's one of the first things I read. I don't necessarily believe and accept everything he says, but because we know Bible prophecy, because we know we watch for things like a world government forming, we watch the four horsemen coming, because we have the Bible and we understand the Bible, we know what to toss out. And there's some things we tossed out, not just from him, but a lot of sources. Because they don't know the Bible prophecy, then they make mistakes themselves. However, oftentimes when I'm reading, sometimes an old friend of mine said, even a blind hog roots up an ear of corn every once in a while. In other words, even someone that doesn't know what they're talking about sometimes can say something that's right on. Now, we prophecy students can more readily recognize when they're saying something that's very important. This is very important. So let me read it. So he says, Western version of the fall of the Soviet Union now undeniable. What? He says, sometimes a decade's worth of news can happen in a single week. Last week was such a week. What is happening is a Western version of the collapse of the Soviet Union. Now, he's not saying the Soviet Union is collapsing. He's saying that many of the Western nations are collapsing. Let's go on. He says regimes are falling in Germany. Yeah. France, we saw it, okay? Practically declaring martial law. In the United States with Trump, the UK, Japan, South Korea, they just are possibly kicking out their president. In the coming weeks and months, many countries are likely to cease to exist. Now, that's part of why I don't know if I can buy that. Cease to exist, including South Korea, Iraq, Syria, well, la-di-da. Okay, so here we are, and I haven't even covered all the information I have about Syria. As a matter of fact, I understand that Israel just started rolling tanks into Syria. We're talking about main battle tanks. Israeli main battle tanks are now rolling into Syria, and that's 24 hours old. So by the time you hear that, it's 48 hours old. Saudi Arabia, what? He says, in fact, in a way, what we're witnessing is the collapse of the Western Roman Empire after close to 3,000 years of existence. Well, there's an old saying, I'm sure you've heard it, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Okay, so if you want to bring in a world government, what do you have to do? You have to tear down the other governments. And I can show you in Daniel chapter 7 where it says that's going to happen. And I believe that we are in the process. Now, that's my point today. When we see, now look at that, Germany, France, U.S., U.K., okay, Germany, France, U.S., U.K., Japan, South Korea, Iraq, Syria, Saudi Arabia, that's 9. That's 9 nations in process of falling or making big changes. This is my point today. This, to me, says that, well, maybe Terry Bennett, maybe he did hear from Gabriel. Maybe the angel Gabriel did show up in his home and did blow a trumpet and read from a golden scroll saying that the tribulation has now started on October the 5th, 2022. Talked about that in yesterday's program. If you missed that, go back and watch it. Now, since we're talking about world government, and since I've written 4 books on Bible prophecy, been teaching prophecy 40 years, memorized the book of Revelation, I think I've earned the right to say you probably ought to listen to what I'm saying when I'm teaching Bible prophecy. All right, so let's go to Daniel chapter 4. I'm going to show you, here's chapter 4, here's chapter 13. What I'm going to do is bounce back and forth, and I'm going to show you some things to help you understand just how close and how important forming world government is. So he says, Daniel saw 4 beasts rise up out of the sea. And of course, that's talking about here, the sea is people. The first was like a lion. Well, what nation has the lion as their head? That would be England. It had eagle's wings. Okay, what nation came out of the lion? Now, this is something that in my early days of studying, I thought it was talking about England. No, it's not talking about England. Yes, the lion is referring to England, but it's talking about America. This scripture, this particular verse, is talking about America. It just identifies it because it's saying it's an eagle that came out of a lion. That would be America, okay? The first was like a lion, had eagle's wings. And I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand upon feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. What's that saying? It's simply saying that there will be a nation that will come out of England that I will lift up and I will plant in their own land. That's the reason it says, lifted up from the earth and made to stand upon feet as a man. In other words, this is a nation that did not have a landmass. They did not have a kingdom. They did not own anything, but he picked them up from England, a landmass that had a king that owned land. He picked them up from England, pulled them across the pond, and planted them into their own nation. That's what that's saying. It took me a lot of years to get that understanding. Made to stand upon feet as a man. In other words, it says, made to stand upon feet as a man, as I gave them a land and not a king, not yet anyway, but a constitution. And a man's heart was given to it. And of all the nations of the world, America is the nation with the softest, kindest heart. Okay? And I beheld another beast like unto a bear. No question, that's Russia. And it raised itself up on one side. And if you look at Russia, most of the population lives on the western half. Most of the wealth, most of the government, most of everything is on one side of Russia. The eastern side is no man's land, Okay, so that's true. Raised itself up on one side and had three ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. That is unfulfilled prophecy. Now, this is a nation that has killed, 20,000 or 20 million of its own people. It's killed a lot of people. But what it's about to say is unfulfilled. Because, see, Daniel is not talking about the past, it's talking about the future. That's the whole point. Okay, so he says, a bear had three ribs in the mouth of it. In other words, in the rise of the bear, it will overcome, there's 10 nations, right? It will overcome three of those nations. It says that in another place too complicated to go into that today. But it'll overcome those three. And then what was 10 nations now becomes, because the one of them overcomes the other three, that 10 nations becomes, watch this, 3 down, 1 up. So it becomes 8 nations. Then it says this, arise and devour much flesh. Well, Russia's already devoured a lot of flesh, but this is not talking about the past. It's true, the past too. But it's saying when Russia devours 3 ribs, and other scripture says that the Antichrist, I'm going to get to it here in just a second, overcomes 3 nations. Then, really, it's saying the Antichrist comes from Russia. Now, I can show you the scriptures where it says it comes from other directions, or other nations. Let's go on, though. Now, so the first one is talking about, I'm going to pull America up out of England, plant it in our own land. Then there's going to be a bear arise that'll overcome 3 nations, and it will arise and devour much flesh. I've said it many times, February 22nd of 2022 is the start of Armageddon. That is when Russia invaded Ukraine, and Russia will not stop killing until she reaches when Jesus comes back at Armageddon. Now let's go to the next verse. After this beheld, and lo, another like a leopard. Well, who's the leopard? Big question, okay? Here's how I arrived at it. I Googled where leopards live, print the map. Then I Googled where Muslims live, print the map. Overlay the maps, and you find that pretty much, it's a scary thing just how close the maps match. Where the leopards live is where the Muslims live. Then you look at the growth, the fighting, the mating, the living patterns of the leopard, almost mirror perfectly the mirrors of the living patterns of the Muslims. So the leopard is the Muslims' nations. So I beheld another like a leopard, which had 4 on the back of it, 4 wings of a fowl. Now we know that 4 heads represents the leaders, and the horns represent land masses. So there's 4 nations. Each of those 4 nations will have 4 leaders on it. We have not seen the third beast come into power yet. However, in my opinion, I'm watching to see that happen probably at the conclusion of the October 7th war with Israel. When they give the Palestinians a state, I suspect, the Lord has not told me, and I do not have any dreams or visions from anybody saying that's going to happen. But my guess is that when they give the Palestinians a state, they also make major redrawing of lines in the Middle East, and that's probably when the third beast will form. Then shortly after the first beast forms, then we see the fourth beast, and that's what I'm talking about today. So we have verse 6 is a leopard, and it has 4 land masses that has 4 rulers, and it works together as one. That's the leopard. Now let's go to verse 7. This is the point. And I can show you the same thing in Revelation, which I will in a second. After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast. Okay, what's the fourth beast? This, my friends, is your world government. A fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, had great iron teeth. Notice the word iron. What is iron saying? Well, again, if you haven't studied Bible prophecy for years, that'll probably pass right by you. And I could spend an hour explaining it to you, or you could just accept what I'm going to say here. Iron represents the Babylonian kingdom or the Roman Empire or what we today call the European Union. That's the quick and easy way to understand it. It had great iron teeth. By the way, if you want to know that, I've got a book that talks about Daniel for the people of tribulation. I forget the name of it even. Daniel. Go to prophecyclub.com and look at my book about Daniel. I explain that. Okay, so it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces. That's the overcoming of the three nations. It devoured and brake in pieces. And stamped the residue defeated, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. All right, now hang on. Diverse. The Russian bear is not like the English lion. It's not like the American eagle's wings. It is not like the leopard. It comprises all of them. I'll show you in Revelation 13 here in just a second. It was diverse from all the beasts before it. It had 10 horns. Again, the 10 horns ties to they take the globe and divide it or cut up into 10 global regions. But it also repeats to be just the European Empire. They first start with just the European Empire and divide that into 10 nations. I don't think I'm going to get to that today, but let's go on. I considered the horns. In other words, he looks at the leaders of these 10 nations. And behold, there came up another little horn. The little horn is the Antichrist, the beast, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. So the 3 ribs in verse 5 is the same 3 horns. So it's saying he divides the globe into 10 global regions. He overcomes 3 of those leaders. It also plays twice because he divides Europe into 10 European regions, and he overcomes 3 of those. Wait a minute, Stan. How can that all happen? I can't explain it. I'm just interpreting Bible prophecy here. So the little horn will overcome 3 nations. Then there will be a total of 8 because he'll still be there. Whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. Behold, in this horn. A lot of people want to say, oh, well, the Antichrist is not a man, it's a system. No, it's a man. Watch. And in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man. Now, if you want to tie this together and see the link that ties this to Revelation 13, look at the last 5 words. A mouth speaking great things. Now let's tie this to Revelation 13. I'm running out of time here. That's about Bible prophecy. You can go deep. Okay, so now it stood upon the sand of the sea. We know from Revelation 17, the sea is people, nations, languages, and tongues. Or it's the people. As opposed to the earth, when the other beast rises up out of the earth, that's a religious beast. So this is a political beast or a political government. I stood upon the sand of the people, and I saw a political beast or a political world government, is what it's saying, rise up out of the people, not religious, but political, having 7 heads or 7 continents, the 7 continents that they divide into 10 global regions, see? And upon his horns 10 crowns. Each one of them has a leader. 10 crowns, upon his heads the name of blasphemy, that all speak bad about Jesus. And the beast which I saw was likened to a leopard. There you go, the Muslims. His feet were as the Russian bear. His mouth is the mouth of the English lion. And I like the way it says this here. It didn't include the eagle. In my opinion, when the world government forms, America does not immediately go in to be part of it. We are, in a lot of ways, never part of the world government. Wait a minute, how do you have a world government controls the whole world if America's not part of it? Well, it is, but it isn't. Why? Because we sort of stay separate until the internal revolution, and some of the people get busy fighting the world government, then fighting the American government, then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, then they attack. Okay, and at the conclusion of that attack, then we're melded kind of by, just as it seems to happen, into the world government, is the way I see it now. Okay, so we got the leopard, bear, and lion. Same 3. So these verses fit these verses. It's a parallel. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. So this is the first witness. This is the second witness. Next verse. Now verse 3. And I saw one of his heads. In other words, he got 10 nations, okay? I saw one of them. Let's say it's this guy out here. I saw one of them as one of his heads were wounded to death. Now, we do not know if he dies or if he appears to die. And that's not the point. He appears to die, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. That means all of the world sees this guy, this man, be wounded, because that's what thrusts him onto the scene as being the world leader. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power to the beast, and they worshiped the beast. Now, those words tell you two things. That tells us that when the beast, this guy out here, when he comes back to life, okay, he becomes inhabited by Lucifer. How do you know? Because it says right there. Well, how does it say? Look at it. And they worshiped the dragon, okay, that's Lucifer, which gave power unto the beast, which gave life back into the image of the beast, or not the image of the beast, back into the Antichrist, and they worshiped the beast. So it's saying when they worship the beast, they also worship the Antichrist, because at this time, they are the same. Well, when does that happen? That happens in the middle of the tribulation. How do you know? Because he's seated in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. So the whole point of Lucifer is he wants to sit on the throne of God. And that is the golden box. It's made of acacia wood, overlaid by pure gold. Ron Wyatt said the lid of the Ark of the Covenant was 600 pounds of solid gold. Okay? And it's the throne of God, made by the Hebrews, made by Moses back at the foot of Mount Sinai. That's his goal. He wants to sit upon the Ark of the Covenant, and he will require all of the people to worship him. So all of this, remember, almost everything you see in the world, ask yourself how it is getting Lucifer toward his goal. His goal is to set upon that gold-coated box, the Ark of the Covenant. They worshiped the dragon, this guy right here, which gave power to the beast. They worshiped the beast, saying, who's like unto the beast? Who can make war with him? A guy that can come back from the dead, you see. Now, here are the 5 words again. Remember I said, look at the 5 words, bottom right here, a mouth speaking great things. Here they are again. Now, this is Daniel chapter 7. But here are the same words in Revelation 13. So that links these two scriptures together. And a mouth speaking great things. By the way, this is the kind of programs I would like to bring every day. I love Bible prophecy. So I would prefer to be teaching Bible prophecy. As you can probably tell, I light up like a Christmas tree. A mouth speaking great things. A mouth speaking great things. King James has it word for word, letter per letter. A mouth speaking great things. A mouth speaking great things. And blasphemies. And powers given him to continue 42 months. How do you know this got set on the Ark of the Covenant in the middle of the tribulation? Because it was given to him to continue 42 months, which is time times the dividing of time, or 3.5 years. Bingo. And he opened his mouth and blasphemed against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. So, it appears to me that we're getting very close to the forming of a world government, and I think a very close time where we're about to see the third beast. We're about to see the third beast and the fourth beast possibly created in the next 12 months. Wow, yeah, could be that close. So, if you haven't asked Jesus into your heart, ask him. All you got to do is say 4 words. Jesus, be my God. And then say, Jesus, forgive my sins. And the peaceable God will come into your heart so that you know that your name is written in the book of life. So you're given eternal life. You do not have to die, my brothers and sisters. You do not have to die. Jesus came to set the captives free.
In a world of uncertainty, be prepared with Silver Prepper Bars, your ultimate hedge against political instability and economic turmoil. Introducing the Silver Prepper Bar, crafted from 0.999 pure silver and proudly made in the USA. This tangible, divisible asset can come in handy even in the toughest of times. Portable, perforated, and easily tradable, the Silver Prepper Bar is your lifeline in times of crisis. When facing inflation, currency devaluation, and financial meltdown? Silver Prepper Bars provide peace of mind. Don't wait for disaster to strike. Secure your future today with the exclusive Silver Prepper Bar, the only silver bar on the market divisible into 3 different size pieces for maximum utility, all while fitting in your wallet. The smart choice for savvy investors and preppers alike. With Silver Prepper Bars, you're ready for whatever tomorrow brings. As gold and silver prices continue to surge and top economists predict upcoming shortages, now is the time to secure your precious metals in the form of Prepper Bars, the only bar on the market divisible into 3 sizes for maximum utility. Place your order before supply runs out and prices go up. Don't wait for disaster to strike. Don't leave your future to chance. All payment methods accepted. Order your Silver Prepper Bars now, 0.999 pure silver and proudly made in the USA. Silver Prepper Bars, ready for whatever tomorrow brings. Order now.
As you recall, this past Saturday, November the 9th, the Lord spoke to me 2 words screaming at me loud like a trumpet. Medical, medical. I take that to mean that not only myself, but also those that follow Prophecy Club, in addition to all of the other preparations we've made, we need to start making medical preparations. And I put that out, and I was deluged with emails sending me to this place. This is the place that all of you seem to like when it comes to medical supplies. So I called them, hooked up, and I've arranged to get you a 5% discount when you use the promo code PROPHECY. Promo code PROPHECY, 5% discount, and it's refugemedical.com. refugemedical.com. And as you can see, they have all kinds of, here's one of the main things you need to get. It's called a burn bucket. This tells you all about it. They also have a business bundle, a home bundle. I think everybody ought to have at least a home bundle. They also have vehicle bundles, church bundles. So they already put this stuff together, and this is not foreign-made stuff. This is all American-made, and it's by a Christian company. And you go to refugemedical.com. refugemedical.com. In 2021, I started making bread, and long story short is I believe God showed me that wheat is God's famine food, just like it was famine food back in the 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine, days of Pharaoh and Joseph. And I believe that that's what God has planned to feed his people. And you get it by going to josephskitchen.com. 3 steps. First, you want to get a machine package. Second, you want to order 6 ingredients and watch some videos, download the recipes to be able to make the bread. josephskitchen.com. Most of your long-time storage food, emergency food, all of that, typically are talking $9,000, $10,000 to feed one person for a year. Go check it out, josephskitchen.com.